So I love Reddit because there are so many people that candidly share the communication problems that they're having in their lives, and a lot of people who respond to them and offer advice and offer support um, in a really kind way. Of course, there's a lot of trolls as well, but the threads that I follow at least are really fabulous. And I love to weigh in from time to time. Sometimes I'll, write a written response, or from time to time I'll make a video. And there was this one person that wrote in that I really wanted to respond to with a video. So this person says, how to stop people using you as a therapist. So for those of us who are a little bit on the sensitive side, who are a little bit more, let's say, approachable, this is a very common problem that can come up, right? So when you make yourself available to people in that way, it's hard to then backpedal and establish boundaries around your emotional resources. And I say the word resources because I think that your openness to have conversations that are very emotionally charged is also a resource for people, and it's one that we often undervalue. And I think it's really important to look at it as a resource, just like time and money, so that we can allocate it wisely and also um, create a framework of boundaries around that resource, just like as you would with time, money, anything else that is a little bit more tangible. So here's what the person said. This is a difficult one for me. I work with an extremely sensitive and damaged person. Huge assumptions there. They see the negative in everything and they see me as their therapist. Again, they see the negative in everything. Well, they might be depressed. They see me as their therapist. Well, that's a huge assumption there. They might be treating you like a therapist, but I don't know. They might see you as a wide variety of things. Um, they are senior to me at work, so there's a power differential. So I cannot tell them to stop or avoid them. Okay, so this person has some, right away you can see that they have some assertiveness, they have some confidence to be able to create boundaries. But when there's a power differential, that's when they get tripped up, or that's when they don't quite know what to do or how to address that. Plus, they would literally begin crying if I asked them to stop. Okay, again, huge assumption. I would normally tell someone to stop, or I would avoid it if it were outside of work. This person also sees me as a good friend, which makes it all the more difficult, as the work and friendship lines are blurred. Whenever I try and refocus on work conversations, such as saying, let's stay focused so we don't run out of time, they'll literally reply, don't worry, we've got time. When I listen and offer them a logical solution, they say, yep, but do not do it. And then I have to just listen to the same conversation again and again. It's as if they want the circumstances to stay the same so they can talk about it. Any advice would be great. So yeah, so this person, the writer is making some pretty big assumptions that I think are, that could benefit from some reality testing. So the fact that they see you as their therapist, and they would cry if you told them to stop sharing. Um, and the fact that they want their circumstances to stay the same, just so they can keep talking about it and wasting your time. So pretty big assumptions there right off the bat. So if I were working with this person, I would kind of go through each one of those and subject it to a little bit of reality testing, because again, I think sometimes when we make those assumptions, we use those assumptions as justification for doing nothing, for not setting our own boundaries. And I think that that's one of the pitfalls of an assumption is that it creates this illusion, um, and in this case, it's an illusion of your own powerlessness, right? Actually, you say that they see you as a good friend or and in the same vein as their therapist. Well, it could be that you've established a friendship, for whatever reason, in whatever way, maybe there's a precedent for that, right? But it doesn't sound like it's quite reciprocated, right? It could be that this person sees you as their friend, and they just so happen to treat their friends in such a way as to not be so cognizant of their emotional boundaries or what they're available and ready to do, which is a problem, which is definitely a problem. But yeah, making that assumption, like they see me as a good friend, they see me as a therapist, that can cloud your judgment. So it's best to do away with all those things. Focus on what you're needing and wanting out of this relationship. And it sounds like you're wanting to focus on work or to create a boundary there around the topics that you address with this person, right? And this idea that they want a logical solution and it doesn't seem to be working, that made me laugh when I read that, because like it's in my experience, it's never the case that when people are hurting, they want a logical solution. Yeah, so if what you want is for them to stop sharing with you, you need to be clear about that rather than hoping and praying that if you're just logical enough, they'll stop sharing about it. Because typically, when people are in pain, what they're looking for is validation, that their pain is somehow justified. What they're looking for is a validation of their humanity, not a logical solution. Yeah, this is one of those myths that I think that we get caught up in, that when someone comes to us with a problem that is very emotionally charged, a lot of times we get overwhelmed and uncomfortable because we think that person is asking for us to solve the problem or to make it go away, when that's never the case. That's like 99.9% of the time, that's not the case. Like the majority of the time, what the person is looking for is just to be heard, is just to be seen. And it sounds like this manager, this person that's coming to the writer is not getting that from anyone else in their life, and so for whatever reason they feel comfortable coming to the writer with this set of circumstances, let's say, because they think that they're likely to get their needs met by this person. The need being the need to be seen, the need to be heard, the need to be validated. Those are the needs that they're coming to you for, not the solving the problem. But regardless of that, the writer is still very much justified in saying, hey, yeah, I get that you have these needs, but I'm not available or willing to meet them for you, which is a very understandable standpoint, right? So I would say maybe just consider starting with really specific behaviors that this person is doing. So they're saying like, oh, they see me as a friend, they see me as a therapist. Well, what behaviors are they doing that you can observe that lead you to those assumptions? Because when you start to think about it in terms of instances and behaviors, then you can put something on the table that you can both look at. And then you have some kind of a shared reality. But when you're operating at the level of assumptions and intuitions, yeah, assumptions and intuitions have their place, but then they need to be kind of double checked with actual behaviors. So yeah, so if it were me, I would say something like, gosh, last week when you came to my desk, it was 4:45, and we started talking about your divorce. I noticed that I didn't get a whole lot done in that particular day, and in fact, I was a little bit behind the next day as well. So yeah, I would like for us to kind of keep those personal conversations outside of work time, just because I am noticing that I'm behind. Right? If that's what this person is looking for, it's not clear whether or not they actually want that kind of relationship with this higher up. If they don't feel comfortable with that at all, they could say something like, gosh, in the past 3 months that I've been here, you've shared quite a bit with me about your private life, and I have to say that a part of me feels quite honored that you felt comfortable sharing these kinds of things with me. It doesn't sound like you've got a whole lot of supports going on in your life right now. Um, However, I don't feel comfortable or qualified to be that person. And I gotta say, I would like for us to not have discussions of a personal nature any longer. Um, I think that it would damage our relationship, and frankly, I don't feel qualified. I don't feel comfortable. I don't feel equipped to have conversations of that nature. Like I don't have the bandwidth to continue to be this sort of shoulder to cry on, or be the person that you confide in. It's quite heavy for me, and I've got a lot of things going on in my own life, or I have a lot of responsibilities that require my attention, and I was really nervous about saying this to you because I can tell that you're in need, and at a human level, I understand where you're coming from, and I've been there myself, but I'm really wanting to sort of refocus our relationship and recenter it more on our working relationship rather than, um, develop this friendship side that we've been developing. And how do you feel about that? Yeah, and see what they have to say. It's also a good idea for HR purposes to document that conversation in case there is retaliation towards you, because that does happen from time to time. Hopefully your the writer's workplace has like an HR department that they can turn to, and they can share what's been happening, so that they're sort of alerted to the situation before you have the conversation, just so it's on record that that you were dealing with this. This is what was on your plate. That way, if there is retaliation, um, you can then sort of dispute it. That's an important safeguard to have when there is a power differential, to loop somebody else in and to document everything. And yeah, my heart goes out to the writer, because it is a very difficult situation to navigate. It's difficult to navigate among friends, and it's just as difficult to navigate when there is a power differential at work, and with superiors. It can be really tricky, both emotionally and professionally. You're risking a lot by delineating that boundary, but ultimately, it's going to be the best thing for you and for the other person, because it doesn't sound like the friendship really is mutual. It doesn't sound like the friendship is mutual, and what that person needs is a friend and maybe a therapist, and you are neither of those things to them. So it's better to live in reality than in magical dreamland. Though it might hurt, though it might be uncomfortable or even embarrassing, it's really important to have this kind of conversation and to really lay your cards out on the table, not in a clinical, cold, this is inappropriate for the workplace, but in a, hey, I see your pain, I see your struggle, and my heart goes out to you. I see that, and honestly, there are a lot of things that you've said that I can really relate to, and I'm honored that you've opened yourself up to this for me in this way, because I can see that you're needing some kind of a support. However, I'm at the limit of the support I'm able to offer you, and so I want to invite you to think of our relationship in a rather different way. And what I mean by that is no more off-topic conversations at work. No more soliciting my advice about personal matters. No more you insert the behavior that they're doing. Again, this person didn't quantify that, but that's what I would invite them to do, and that's what I would coach them to work towards. But it is a very tricky situation, so hopefully they'll have implemented at least some of those things. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.